Hey everyone, I'm Rod and Todd, a professional YouTuber who makes professional videos, and it's Tuesday, which means it's time for another Transformers review. So, here we go. This is WFC-S48 Spinister. He was released in the deluxe size class as part of the 5th and final wave of the War for Cybertron Siege toy line. Yes, this is it. We're nearing the end of Siege. After Spinister, there'll be 2 more reviews, and then we're ready to move on to Wave 1 of the Netflix line. So anyway, let's start with his vehicle mode. Spinister turns into a very bright pink, purple, and blue helicopter. Contrary to what you might think, I don't really mind this. I'm honestly not really the kind of person who minds neon colors on Transformers in moderation. If it's just a bunch of like random colors, I'm not a big fan of it. But if it's like Spinister to where like pink and blue, I really think go well together, so it looks good. But anyway, he's a helicopter, and so of course he has the big rotor on the top, which spins, and actually spins quite well. And then the little tail rotor, which also spins, although not as well as the, the rotor on the top. Let's see, does he have any Decepticon symbols on his vehicle mode? I have big Decepticon symbol right there on the tail. And you can get the, if I can get this to work, you can get the rotor going so you can, fly and fight the Autobots or whatever. He has retractable landing gear. This little front landing gear piece here, which you can just fold down for flight, I guess, and then fold out like that for when you just want to have him on the ground. He has various holes all over his copter mode, which you can use to mount his guns. You have 2 on either side of then 1 here, 1 there. Oh, no, not 1 there. Okay, just 1 here for whatever reason. 2 on the top for some reason, despite the fact that, you can't actually put guns there due to the rotor being right there. And then the ones that I use the most often, these 2 on the bottom. Which personally, I think this is how Hasbro intended for you to do it. I mean, come on, why else would they put these two little thingies on the side? So you can attach his guns there. And looking at it, I don't really see very many mounting points for the effect parts on the copter mode, so there's really nothing there. So looking at his copter mode objectively, it's just alright. The transformation is pretty frustrating, especially in the robot mode legs, which form the front cockpit. And yeah, but it is a pretty solid Cybertronian copter mode. But I don't know, the frustrating transformation makes it to where I don't transform them very often. The bright blue and pink you might not like. I'm fine with it, but if you don't like neon colors, you might not like this. But yeah. So that's his copter mode. It's alright overall, just as a really frustrating transformation. So with the copter mode out of the way, let's move on to the box. So here's the box. It's the standard Siege Deluxe class box, of course. Standard stuff on it, just Siege logo there, Transformers logo there. On the inside, or back of the inside of the box is this rank insignia, which is mirrored right there. You can turn it around to the side, you can see it says Spinister. Standard Siege mural, just normal stuff there. I've already covered that. 3D renders of the figure in robot mode and vehicle mode. You can see it transforms in 27 steps. And then there's a cross-sell for the Battlemaster's Caliburst and Smashdown with a picture of Spinister holding Caliburst. I will be partnering those two up later. Onto the package art, you can see there's Spinister. He's like charging in the battle. He's got his gun out, shooting. This looks pretty good. Pretty nice. There's another guy in the background that kind of looks like Hound. I don't know. Decepticon symbol on the top, and then junk on the bottom. So, there's the box. Standard stuff. It's nice. So, with the box out of the way, let's move on to the robot mode. So, here is Spinister in his robot mode. This guy is kind of an obscure character, so I'm gonna explain who he is for those of you unfamiliar. So Spinister is kind of he's one of those characters from the later days of the Transformers toy line where the 80s cartoon had already stopped airing. Well, they were airing reruns, but they stopped making new episodes. The comics were still going, but, there really wasn't much for this guy. He was a target master. He was one of the Decepticons to where, basically, it's just a modern-day revitalization of the Battlemaster concept, the Battlemaster concept is a modern-day reimagination of the Target Masters, to where there's a tiny robot turns to a gun. He was one of the smaller double Target Masters who came with 2 partners instead of just 1. His partners, Singe and Hairsplitter, or Shroot, I guess, if you want to go by the trademark-friendly name, were released in Siege. Singe was individually packaged, and Shroot was an Amazon-exclusive box set with Skywarp. I don't have either of them, so derp. So, yeah, he was just kind of a generic Decepticon goon for most of his life, until the IDW comics came around. As mentioned last week, I'm a huge fan of More Than Meets the Eye, the comic. If you haven't read it, it's really good, but they kind of reinvented Spinister. They had this group of good guy Decepticons called the Scavengers, who were just kind of these idiots who roamed around the universe and inadvertently had to save the world on multiple different occasions. Spinister was a member of this group, and he was basically like Patrick Stars, just an idiot, which I liked. It was something different. And yeah, it's kind of that's what I think of when I think Spinister, is just the comics. So anyway, yeah, that's Spinister. Just kind of pink, purple, and blue Decepticon helicopter guy. So, in terms of articulation, standard stuff for Siege Deluxe. Ball joint at the head, he can move his head up and down a bit. Oh no. And, once I fix the rotor there. Okay, excuse me for a second, I knocked the rotor loose. Let me fix that. So as I was saying, articulation-wise, ball joint at the head to move his head up and down, and left and right. Of course, it's kind of hard to do that with this big thing on the back. Universal joint at the shoulders, can move his arm out, and you would be able to move all the way around, not for the big rotor on his back. Bend at the elbow, in fact, a double joint at the elbow, so we can do this. It's further transformation, but whatever. Swivel at the elbow, wrist swivel, waist swivel, bend at the universal joint at the hips and move his leg out, forward, and back. It's a bit stiff on mine. Bend at the knee, swivel at the thigh, and then swivel at the ankles. So for once, huzzah, a deluxe class figure with wrist swivels. In terms of accessories, he comes with 2 accessories. Comes with a purple gun and a blue gun. The purple gun, the instructions call the Spin Blast Particle Beam Cannon, and the blue gun, the instructions call the NFM Dual Fusion Cannon. These are both double-barreled weapons that are kind of designed to look like Spinister's Target Master guns in the original toy. And despite the fact they look pretty similar, they actually do have different sculpts. The blue one has just like generic gun barrels, whereas the purple one has like little Gatling cannons on it, which because of that, I appreciate the purple one more. I think it's the cooler of the two, just because it has like mini guns on it. Of course, you can fit him in his hand, and since he has two hands, he can hold both at once. And as with every gun in this line, you can mount the Battlemaster effect parts on both of them, in fact on all four barrels. And as an added little bonus, this is kind of meant to be a homage to the original Target Master toy, to where his two Target Master partners could combine into a bigger gun by just kind of sitting on top of each other. You can do that with both of his guns. I don't think the instructions provide a name for this combined mode, but you can have him with a slightly larger single gun instead of two smaller guns if you want. I personally display him with just both individual guns, just because I think that looks a little cooler. Of course, he retains all the holes from helicopter mode, so you can mount weapons on him, two on either arm. Oddly enough, only one on the leg. Actually, no, two on the legs. Right, because of transformation. Stupid. There are two holes in his back, but the tail rotor, or the rotor on his back, kind of blocks that. And then one on either foot, so if you really want to mount Cog's platform shoes on this guy, you can do that. Some interesting things about this figure. So you may notice he only had one cockpit in helicopter mode, but he has two helicopter cockpits, one on either leg. That's because the original toy didn't have separate legs. It was just the helicopter cockpit was just one big stump. That's how a lot of G1 figures were. And the packaging art here kind of has them with two helicopter cockpits or something. I don't know. I read this off the wiki. But yeah, so they decided to give him an entire fake cockpit to go on the other leg. It just kind of hides underneath his helicopter mode. You can tell which one is the real one because only one of them has landing gear. And you can still give him Battle Masters, like Caliburst, because, you know, they're paired up on the box. This actually doesn't look that bad. So anyway, Spinister. Spinister is kind of a weird figure, I'd say. I feel like this figure is only made for one of two types of people. People who are just completionists and want to get the full set, or just like really big G1 fans and want to get stuff like this. Or people like me who are IDW fans and want to get another IDW character on the list, even though this doesn't look like the IDW version very much. Like, it looks a little bit like them, especially kind of in the head, but yeah, whatever. I forgot to point out the little ports. Darn it, there goes his gun. You can do that. Huzzah. And there's one right there in his groin for some reason. That's kind of hurt. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, it's a pretty niche figure. It was really only designed for either completionists, G1 fans, or IDW fans. Take your pick. And despite the fact that he lost the vote to determine which pair of figures was supposed to get new figures in Siege, losing out to Impactor and Mirage, he still did get a toy for whatever reason. And of course, he was supposed to be partnered up with Wheeljack. Wheeljack isn't in this toy line, but he is in Earthrise. So, look forward to that. So anyway, yeah. That's my review of Spinister. If you're an IDW fan, you should definitely get him. If you're if you grew up with like the G1 Target Masters or something, and if you have fond memories of this toy, as like the original toy as a kid, then you might want to pick this up. But yeah, I don't really know. If you're not really a fan of like generic Decepticons like this, or you don't really know who the guy is, then yeah, you probably don't need to get him. But yeah, that's Spinister. Alright, enough figure. I seem to like him personally. Copter mode is a little iffy, but robot mode's pretty solid. So yeah, that's my review of Spinister. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know, like and subscribe and all that. You don't have to, but it would be appreciated. And yeah, so tune in next week as we review the Decepticon Triple Changer Astrotrain. This has been Ron Todd signing off.